Hey, this is Joe Crump, and this is the new follow-up system for the push-button Automarketer, and this is the quick start video that's going to go in the tutorial section. So if you're watching this in the tutorial section and you want to get started using the follow-up system, this is the video to be watching. If you want to use emails to get started, then scroll down to the next quick start video, and it shows you how to get started with emails. Emails don't cost any more than the cost of the Automarketer. The follow-up system uses text blasts, so you have to pay for the phone numbers for the text, and I'm going to get into the costs on this and what it takes to get these sent out. It's still the most productive and cheapest way to do it, and that's why I'm putting it at the top of the list here to kind of go over this with you. And hopefully, it's also the easiest way to get up and running and started and starting to get some leads in that you can start working right away. So let's get started with this process. When you first sign up for the Automarketer, one thing you still have to do once you get into the account is go to your account settings and put in your credit card information to cover your voice blasts and text blasts. So if that's not done yet, you need to do that. Put in the area code in the area you're working, save it, and that will automatically send it to our support people who will set up a phone number for you within 24 business hours. So as soon as that's done, then it'll charge your card $20, and every time your card drops down to $10, it'll charge it another $20. And these are the numbers of what it's charging per call that's going out. After you've put your information in here, and by the way, if you want to use an email campaign, you don't have to pay anything. But the difference on average between email campaigns and text and voice blast campaigns is about 10 times. We're averaging 5% response rate on our email blasts, whereas in text and voice blasts, we're looking at 20 to 40% response rates. So it's dramatically higher with text and voice blasts. So once you've gotten your credit card information in here, go to the category and location section and pick the area that you want to work in. I would suggest that you just pick one area. And right now I've picked Indianapolis and I've picked real estate for sale by owner. That's all you really need to check here. And it's going to start looking in that area. It takes about 24 hours for this to happen. So while you're waiting for your phone number to come through, go ahead and check this so that it'll be ready for you when that phone number comes in. Once you get notified that your phone number has come in, then you want to go to this Filter Your List tab. So this should be the second day in the process that you're doing it. There's longer videos about how to do this, but I'm going to make it really quick and simple. Let's just go back 1 week and pick only listings that have phone numbers. And what it's going to do now is going to go to Craigslist in Indianapolis. It's going to pull all the ads that are for sale by owner in that section over the last week. And that's what we're going to be looking at. There's lots of ways to use this Filter Your List, and I have other tutorials that teach you how to do that and how to use it on a higher level. But this is all you really need to get started. And then do a search. If you look, there's 264 ads that came up over the last week. And if I scroll down, I can see all these. Each one of these is a different ad. And if there's these, they can all be check marked individually like this, or you can just hit select all. And we're going to pick all 264. If you want to start a little bit slower, take it to 100 and try it that way first. So now let's go to 100. Let's just do 100 to start. And we'll try it again. We'll select them all. And then instead of queuing it up for an email or queuing it up for a voice or a text blast, we're going to click on this new button. This is called the follow-up. And we're going to queue those up. And if you look here, this little rotating thing, this says add or remove listing from follow-up queue. And if I click this individually, it turns it green and it adds it to the list. Or I can also go to the follow-up button and I can select all of them, make all of them come up. So let's hit the follow-up button, and they're all turned green. So now they'll all be in the follow-up campaign. Now I can go look at them in the follow-up campaign. So we go up to the follow-up system, and we click on this button, and it brings up the follow-up campaign. Some of these ads have already been in here for a while. Some of them that haven't had any messages sent, they haven't been here very long at all. Well, I just queued. So let's bring this first, all the ones with 0 up to the top here. And we'll do 100 of them since they should all be there. The only thing you have to do now to get them started is to click this start button. Once you do that, it's going to start sending out these text messages. Remember, make sure you have a phone number to your account before you do that. One place you can check that is going to your Voice Blast campaign and making sure there's a phone number here. If there is, then that means that you've got a phone number in your system. If there's not, then it won't send out any of these texts. The concept behind this follow-up system is that it's a sequential text blast system. So on day 1, it's going to send out this first blast. On day 4, it's going to send this one. On day 8, it's going to send this. And then every week for up to 3 months. It goes up to 85 days. So these campaigns last 85 days, 14 different hits to the same phone number, to the same text blast over that period of time. And we're going to give them different messages over that time. At the beginning, it's going to start with, would you consider selling your house, rent to buy? If you would, I'm very interested. Please text or phone me. Thank you. And you can edit this, by the way, if you'd like to change the message that's going out. On day 4, it's going to send pretty much the same type of message, except this time it's going to give you a URL. It's going to take them to your clone sites. The first clone site it's going to take you to is the rent-to-own seller site. So it says sell your property, rent to own. And it's got information in here about how this process works. And if they fill out this form, the likelihood that they're going to do this deal with you is very, very high because it gives them a lot of details about this process. We find that we can close about 75 to 90% of the people that fill out this form. Now, you can't do that if you don't have any skills. So the way to do this is to learn the skill of talking to people on the phone and get them to say yes before you do this, or to use all the text responses that come in from the first blast as practice. The very first time you send out a text blast, you're going to get the most responses. Then each time after that, there's going to be fewer. And when you send them to a URL or a web page that sells them on an idea of selling their property in one way or the other, you're going to get even fewer responses. But they're going to be even more qualified if they fill out this form. Let me show you the statistics of what we're getting. And we've just been running this thing for the last couple of weeks. So we've only got 3 messages that have been sent out in this process already. Let me go to the stats page and then click on View Follow-Up Stats. And it's going to pull up, and I want to pull up everything that we've been doing since we started. It's just been a few weeks here. And I'll show you the first 3 messages that have gone out. On the first message that went out on day 1, we sent out 141. We got 75 responses back. Typically, about half of them are yes or maybe or tell me more, and the other half are just straight out no. So that response rate is 53%. Which is a pretty amazing thing. If you've ever done any direct marketing, you know that 1/2 of 1% is pretty exciting for direct marketers. The next message went out 4 days later to the same group, 141 people. We received 21 responses this time. Out of this 21, 19 of them said no. But the other 2 said yes or maybe, and those people can be called. So now you've got a bunch of people here that you called. You called these people on this date, and these are the amount of clicks that URL got. Remember, this one had a URL that would take you to the rent-to-own seller site. 45 of them were unique clicks, 57 total clicks, which mean a few people clicked it more than once. That means the response rate, or the click rate, was 40%, which is also phenomenal. On the third message, which is day 8, so in the first week, this is what's happened. Another 141 texts went out. We got 35 responses this time. Again, most of these said no, but a couple of them said yes. And then we got 47 opt-ins. Now, out of that list, out of these 3 days, we had one person who opted in to the rent-to-own rent-to-own sellers site. And when they opt in, they go into this Contactor Plus database, and they go into this rent-to-own seller section. So they go into this database here, so we can go find them by clicking on filter. We can also see the messages that they're being sent by clicking on this if you like to do this. The way you access this Contactor Plus interface is through your clone site's admin. So you can go in there and look for Contactor Plus, and you can find it there. And this sends them follow-up emails as well. Because the people that fill it, and remember, you're only going to have one or two or three or four people that are filling out these forms as you do this per week. But those people are, if you have any skill, are going to be pretty easy to close. You're also going to get a ton of called messages. So if you have 30 of these calls coming in, you should be able to convert a few of those as well if you have skill. Or if you don't have skill, then at least talk to them and develop that skill. All right, so now we're in beta now. So we're just in the beginning days of this. And so I'm going to extrapolate based on what I think is going to happen because we've done these campaigns manually. That's why we built this system. So I'm going to extrapolate out what I think the stats are going to be over the next 14 messages that go out and the next, I guess, 85 days as they go through this system and as we contact the same group of people every week. If we send out 141 per week and we send them out 14 times, we send out 14 messages over 85 days, the cost to do that when you send it out, it's 2.5 cents per text that's going out. That means it's going to cost you $49 to send out this campaign from this week over this 3-month period. During that time, we should get about 394 texts, and that's if our response rate drops down by about 20% of what it is here. So figure 394 responses from $49, and you're looking at a pretty good response rate. Also, during these 14 different messages that go out, you're going to get about 253 clicks to the websites. And there are 3 websites that we're looking at. We're looking at the rent-to-own seller site. We're looking at a straight we will buy type of site that's can be used for just about any purpose. We're looking at a for sale by owner subject to site. So it's going to rotate between these different sites, explaining how these work. I get into some detail about the clone sites in the other training program, so I'm not going to do all that here. But the goal here is to send this to sellers and get sellers to work with us and give them different options for working with us and give us different ways to work with us. So let's go back here and extrapolate some of these numbers. If you're only getting 2 people that send you a text that say, yes, I'll be interested in doing rent to buy, or tell me more about it, or explain it more to me. You only get 2 of those each time. You're looking at 28 people that are giving you a possible yes that you can call back and put together. If you only get 2 opt-ins to your websites during this period of time, this 3.5 months for this 1 week's worth of deals, that's a 2% response, well, not quite a 2% response rate on that, which I think is going to be very likely based on our experience, since we've already received 2 with the first 2 setups here. So the likelihood that we'd have 2 for every 14 seems almost certain. And again, if you have the skill, you're going to be able to convert the ones that opt in. And if you have you also have skill, those 28 the others that say yes, the likelihood that you can put some of those together is very high as well. Now, this campaign to get those leads costs you $49.35, so figure $50. Now, if you do this every week, where you add another 141 every week to this list, that means that every week it's going to cost you $50 to send out emails or text blasts to these lists and add them to this system. And that can get a little expensive. So now you're looking at $200 a month in order to keep this entire thing going. So if you don't have that much money, you can split it up over time and send some of it, maybe you do this week, and then you do this week, and then you do this week, and you don't send out nearly as much. or maybe you try the first ones and you send them out a little bit at a time. Remember, the second time that you send it out, that you're going to get mostly no's. Remember, I said this was 19 no's and 2 yeses, but also 45 clicks to the URL, and we got one person to opt in during that time. So that was a pretty productive use of it, even though you didn't get as many yeses as you did the very first time it went out. So if you're sending out one of these every week for 14 weeks, it's going to regularly cost you about $50 a week in phone messages. And so you can send out as many as you can afford to make this make sense for you. But it'll always create a stream of business coming in. And as you can see, it only took about 5 minutes to queue up those leads and put them into the follow-up system. So 5 minutes of work per week in order to get a flood of leads coming in all the time. Let's do the big numbers over this, over the 14-week period. If you have 14 weeks at $49 a week on average for $141, that's $690 over the 14-week period. So it starts to add up, as you can see. But if you have 14 different campaigns going, and you get 253 clicks per campaign, that's 3,500 clicks. If you have 1% of those people opt in, that's 25 opt-ins to your Contactor Plus account into your leads. And that, again, those are easy to convert. If you're not very good at converting them and you only convert 1 in 5 rather than everyone, then that still means that you've got 7 deals. If you did 7 deals and only made $4,000 per deal, that's $28,000 that you would have made. If you do that every quarter, every 3 months, which is what this campaign lasts, that's $100,000 per year income. So the likelihood that you can put this many deals together in this period of time is very high if you've got a little bit of skill on the phone. Also, if we extrapolate these text responses out, you get about 394 text responses over that period of time, and you're able to, and 1 in 10 of those is yes, which is what we got here. 1 in 10 of those is yes. That's 551 yeses over that period of time, because that's 5,500 text responses, but only 1 in 10 being yes, that's still 550 yes leads. So the likelihood, that's 39 yes leads a week, which would be very difficult to follow up on if you're not on top of it. What I find is people get a ton of leads from this system and then they don't follow up on them and they blow those leads. So you can either do it yourself or you can train someone else to do it for you. If you don't know how to do it yourself, if you can't convert them yourself, the likelihood is that you won't be able to train anyone else to do it for you. So learn how to do this first by taking all these leads that are coming in and calling them back. So the big question becomes, is it worth it to spend that much money in order to get those kind of leads, in order to make the amount of money? Obviously it is, if you have the skill to convert them. And that's the big thing that you have to learn. So make sure you listen to the Talking to Sellers audios in the training tab. If you're in my mentor program, I can walk you through it and do some role playing with you, listen to what you're saying and help you learn that, because this is the most important thing that you can do when you have those leads. The thing not to do is to have all these leads coming in and not try to talk to any of them or not try to do anything with them. At the very least, if you're not going to talk to the people that text you back, at least talk to the people that fill out the form, because when they fill out these forms and give you this information about their rent to buy, and they understand how this process works, and they will work with you if you sound halfway credible. Also, all these tracking stats are coming because we're using a tracking URL in these. If you look at this URL, we bought this shortened URL so we could fit it into a text blast, and then we turned it into a tracking URL.
So you can actually create your own URLs and your own tracking URLs in here as well. So if you want to send them to a different site or sell them something different, you can change this system, add your tracking URL, and it'll keep track of your click-through rate on these things. You can change these messages any way you like. If you'd like to have all of them go out without any URL at all, you can do that, or you can change it so the URL messages are in every one that you send out. Just remember, when you send out the messages with the URL, with the domain name in it, your response rate drops off dramatically as far as the amount of leads that you get. But the leads that you get typically are more solid leads because they've seen more information about what you do and how you do it. And if they fill out that form, then it's going to be a pretty interesting process for you. And remember, when you send this stuff out, just one day, for 141 people that are, or 141 messages that are going out, it's going to cost about $3, $4, a day on this. So it's really not as expensive as it sounds. And if you compare this with what it would cost to run a campaign like this, sending out mail or putting out signs or putting up classified ads that you have to pay for, all those things are way more expensive than what it would cost to do this. Now, the other concern people have is, what if people advertise, like, let's say this guy advertises on one day, and then, a week later, he deletes his previous ad and he runs a new ad. Will our system scrape it and find it? Yes, it will. It'll also see it as a duplicate, and it won't put it in the follow-up system a second time. So they'll only be in the follow-up system once with any specific phone number. Now, it's possible that somebody could get hit more than one time, but that's only if they use more than one phone number. And if you have somebody who wants you to take them off your list, you can take them off the list by putting them on the black. Here's the blacklist list, so you can add the blacklist numbers here. You can also unsubscribe someone, individually from the follow-up system, or you can automatically blacklist them. And you can find their phone numbers here as well. Just by typing in their phone numbers, you can find them and then blacklist them, or just hit them with this blacklist and it'll automatically blacklist them. We don't want to bug people. I mean, obviously, they have run an ad. They put their phone number out there. They want to be called by people who want to buy their properties. That's why they're running these ads, and that's what we're doing. But some people will get irritated with us over time, and the more stuff you send them, the more blowback there's going to be. We've added a few things to this system to do an automatic unsubscribe. So there's a few keywords that we have that if they type those into a response message to you, they will get automatically unsubscribed from this and put on the blacklist. Now, let me show you where the leads come in. If you go to the Text Blast lead system here, or the tab here, we'll see the list of leads. And these, if you click on these, then it gives you the message that they sent you. You can click here and you can see the ad that they ran. If the ad is still on the site, you can see if there's more than one ad that they've run from this phone number. So you can see this person has done 3 different ads. You can also go to Craigslist and view the original ad if the ad is still on the site. In this case, it's not, and most of them won't be because they delete them and respond. But we do keep the record of them, and that's why they're here. You can also stop the follow-up system. You can click here to read the text. You can click here to open up the lead sheet, and this allows you to type in all the information about the property when you get them on the phone, or if you have somebody who's following up on these leads for you. This is a really helpful thing. If you can get all this information from these people, just ask them, say, hey, my boss asked me to call. He's interested in making an offer on your property, and here he has to have a few questions answered. Would you mind answering them for us? And they're usually pretty willing to do. We're building a new CRM, and all the leads that come in are actually in the CRM. So if you're going to use the CRM that's in this system right now, don't use this button. Instead, use the button that's in the CRM. So let me show you real quickly the button that's in the CRM. To get to the CRM, it's kind of hidden right now because we haven't got a lot of training on it yet, but the people that have been in the system a little while are starting to find out about it, and we've been playing with it, and it's still in beta. So you please forgive us if it doesn't have all the features that we're eventually going to have. We're rebuilding it actually, and hopefully by the end of the year we're going to have a brand new CRM system, and we're actually going to build the Automarketer right into that CRM. But if you go to this button right here, it allows you to log in with your password again into the CRM system.
Hey, it's Joe.
And then you can look at the leads that came into the system. And you can, each one of these leads, you can put the information in about these people. You can add the properties as they come in. So if you want to add a property, just put new property and put some information in about the property and save it, and it'll keep it in the list. So each person can have more than one property. And then you can add all their information, their price information. This is the same stuff that was on the lead sheet that we have to ask them. You can also upload pictures to their gallery, or you can just pull up the lead sheet here in the system. And when you save it here, it saves it to that specific lead. The other thing that's pretty cool about this, once you put their address in here and verify their address, then you can put in Google Maps, click on Google Maps, and it'll pull up that property on Google Maps so you can see a picture of it. It'll pull it up on Zillow so you can get a feeling for how much the value is on it. You can pull it up on Rent-O-Meter so you can see what the rents are going for. So there's some really nice things in this little system that you can use that I'm not going to get into right now. There's also a phone system in the thing, in our system, that allows you to create phone numbers for your team members. So if you've got team members that are in, let's say, New York, and you want them to do deals in California, you can set up a 213 area code phone number in California, and it'll look like they're being called from that number, and they can call right there from their browser, and just as long as they have a microphone with their computer, they can call right there from their browser and call into those people. It records those calls, keeps track of how long they are, so you can also keep track of how long your people are talking on the phone. It's also very valuable for you if you're learning how to do this, to record your own calls so you can go back and listen to them and listen to how bad you are until you get good at it. And it'll really be educational and a little bit embarrassing to listen to until you get good. But it's also good incentive to get you to do it. It also gives you an idea of how long you were actually on the phone, because sometimes when you're just getting started, you feel like you've been on the phone for hours, when in fact it was only minutes that you were on the phone. There's a bunch of other features in here. If you go into this, you can go to the tutorial section, and there's a bunch of tutorials about how to use the CRM and the leads templates, and you can go through and watch all these different tutorial screen capture videos to make that happen for you. But that's not what this video is about. I want to just get you started and get you going with the follow-up system so you can actually get these things rolling out, start getting the leads coming in. Go check out your leads and call those people back. Check out Contactor Plus. Get the leads as they come in. And by the way, these get emailed to you as they come in, the same way that whenever anybody sends a text, that also gets emailed to you as well, even though they're in the text blast leads here as well. So you've got multiple ways to get these people, or to get access to these people. So if you got your mobile phone, you can still access them no matter where you're at. You're going to get those usually as they come out in real time. All right, well, that's a pretty good overview of the system. I hope that helps. I hope that gets the folks that are using the Automarketer excited about using it. I hope it brings in some new users to get the Automarketer system up and running. And I think it'll also help the people that are just getting started with the Automarketer maybe get a campaign up and running pretty quickly. And remember, you don't have to spend this money on these phone blasts to use the Automarketer. You can still do it with emails. You get 2,000 email credits that can go out and you can do things with emails. It's not going to be as sophisticated as this follow-up system, but the email campaign works. It doesn't cost a dime other than the cost of the Automarketer. So, you can do it that way as well. And if you go into the training tab, you'll see these other tutorials that are there. And hopefully this one that I'm creating right now will be at the top of the list when we're done here. Okay, hope that helps. Thanks now.